Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. Exciting announcement for all of my listeners. I've officially opened my exclusive group, the ProjectME Passive Income Posse, to the public. This group is by application only, so we can keep the group high vibe and spend our time, energy, and expertise only helping those of you who truly want massive success and impact. You get live weekly trainings from me, special guest coaches, and direct access to me and my business partner for all of your questions. To learn more and apply, go to projectmewithtiffany.com, click on Work With Me, and select ProjectME Posse. And of course, any questions, feel free to DM me at ProjectME with Tiffany. Welcome to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and posse. I'm your host, Tiffany, and yes, I know I sound like a man today. I have a sinus infection and I'm highly medicated, and we're going to do an interview anyway because I don't want you guys to miss this. So get ready to be entertained. You guys know I don't have much of a filter anyway, and now the filter's officially gone. So my guest today is someone that has just a crazy story. And for those of you longtime listeners, you know that my story is like a Lifetime movie. This one's like a fairy tale gone sideways on steroids. I cannot wait for you to hear from Deanna. I said her name right. I'm proud of myself. She's a mompreneur, a 7-figure network marketer, a marketing strategist that specializes in unique storytelling, which I'm sure we'll get into how that became her specialty is because she learned how to craft her own wild story. So, Deanna, did I sum up your life story?
I'm amazed. You are so great. Yeah, that was a great intro. I was trying to figure out how you were going to do that since you called me multi-passionate right before this.
Her bio, by the way, and I know you guys listening can relate. Her bio had like everything. Like there was like fairy tales mentioned, marketing strategist, millionaire, network marketer. I was like, okay, we need to rein it in. We need to rein it in here, people.
That's right.
So, first of all, if I'm getting this story correctly, didn't your actual story that you chose to put out there, didn't it actually go viral?
It went viral, yes. I did not want to tell my whole raw and real story, but I had no choice because somebody Planned Parenthood was attacking the princesses there. Let's get right to it.
Okay, you guys, there is like, when I said this is like a fairy tale gone sideways on steroids, like, I'm not kidding. Okay, tell us the story. I can't wait. Get into it.
Well, first off, I'll just tell you that, yes, I'm a creative entrepreneur, and I used to be a Disney princess. I was a singer at Disney years ago. And so, I've just always been in the entertainment business. And I came into network marketing and marketing in general after working in that realm for a long time. So that's how I ended up becoming, falling into marketing, because I just really believed it was very similar to trying to find an audience, trying to get people to respond clearly. So my background in being on stage kind of found its way online. And so when you asked about a story going viral, yes, my story went into, we were on Glenn Beck, Fox. It went to, it was about 41 million in circulation because I simply responded in writing to a tweet that was tweeted that I didn't even originally see. And I responded, and here's the backstory. I worked as a Disney princess years ago, singing. I was the voice of Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty at Disney World. I wasn't always dressed up like Cinderella, but I sang, they used my voice. Unfortunately, when I was there, I was 18 years old. I got pregnant and made the decision to have an abortion, was fully pro-choice at the time, didn't expect anything to, honestly, it was a decision I made, not fully thinking it out. However, deeply in my heart, I wanted to be a mother. But I went in and I had the abortion, and that was on a Friday, and I had to get back to work on Monday. And the whole weekend I was like in the fetal position, crying, with just crushed. And so I ended up in time quitting the job that I was trying to keep, because I could hardly dance and sing anymore. And it was really a dream job. And then had the abortion, left the job, eventually found redemption really through my faith. And I found my way back to Disney after really having a family. I ended up conceiving my daughter a few years later with a new guy. I got married with a new guy, with my husband. And then I conceived my son going to Disney the first time back. And so then I ended up adopting 3 kids, and I formed this large family. So that's the backstory. And so how did I go viral? Planned Parenthood last year made a tweet that said, "We need a Disney princess who's had an abortion." Was I going to write about that necessarily? I have a book out called To Be a Mother, but that was a while back. And somebody called me. They're like, "Hey," and I'm just doing my business, like working in network marketing, working on marketing plans, teaching people, a little bit about Facebook, trying to figure out the new algorithms of Facebook. And all of a sudden they're like, "You need to write something and respond." And so I responded with, "I was a Disney princess who had an abortion, and this is my story." And so all I did, Tiffany, was I put it on Medium, which is, it's kind of a social sharing blog, and then tweeted it on my very small Twitter account, because Twitter was not really my main thing. And then it just went viral. And really what I learned from that is the power of really blogging. I started before network marketing as a writer, doing blogs, even before, way before Facebook. And then when Facebook came, I think many people abandoned the writing, or writing in depth and writing quality stuff. And so what I learned from that is that with all of the other social media platforms kind of changing, is that we really have, if we really kind of focus on this writing piece and really expressing ourselves and learning how to craft it, and then using SEO or whatever, we can really help to build our business. And so during a time when I was trying to figure out how to find new leads, this happened. And then it brought me back into this blogging sphere, which I really feel strongly about. That and even people who say, I can't write. I don't necessarily believe that. I believe that we all have a voice and we can figure it out.
Wow. This is a crazy story. So you worked at like the happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
And here you got an abortion, and you had to go back to work. Here you are at Disneyland, being, a princess surrounded by like tons of children. Was it too much for you to stay working somewhere like that when you were grieving? Is that why you left?
Yes. I didn't expect, believe it or not, to have the reaction I had, but I literally was finding it hard to sing and dance because I had immediate regret, and I didn't know, I was so naive, and I was really indoctrinated from the time I was little to just, believe that you had to wait to be a mother, and I wanted to be a mother, and I was taught very strongly, kind of a lot of the propaganda, honestly, that was written about feminism. And I consider myself a feminism. It's just that I'm really, at this point, a pro-life feminist. That really said that, look, you have to wait till X, Y, and Z to have a child, right? And so all of that, if you look back, actually those messages were actually penned by Margaret Sanger back when trying, and she even said, and she was the founder of Planned Parenthood, even said, look, we want them to think that this is their own idea. They should wait to a certain point. We should create a baby code. And so I was taught you have to wait till this happens and this happens and this happens. Where in reality, I had full insurance. I had a decent income, and I could have reached out to people, but I just thought, I'm a strong woman. Even at 18, I need to take care of it myself. So I went in for the abortion, not expecting to be, I mean, maybe obviously a little down, but I was, try to sing and dance and smile, like you said, in front of a bunch of children for a while. And all of these things are happening to you, swirling in your mind, and you haven't dealt with the grief. And I always was taught as a strong Midwest girl to, suck it up and be strong. And it wasn't working out that way for me.
I can relate on a little bit of a different level, but similar. That's why I had to quit when I had the morning CBS show and I was on air at the news desk, on TV for 4 hours every morning. I was getting close to having a nervous breakdown, and I couldn't do it because I knew everyone was seeing me. All the eyes were on me. I couldn't handle it. So I can relate to what you're saying is when you have all this chaos and emotion going on inside of you, and then you had to basically, do jazz hands. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
it's
literally.
and I had to sit and be like, have my shit together. It's like, okay, that's just way too much. So you talked about your Midwest roots. What's up? We have another Chicago girl on the show. I love it. We have a lot of Chicago listeners and Midwest listeners.
Awesome.
So you mentioned, being raised with that whole be strong and kind of suck it up Midwest mindset. What other things did you pick up in your childhood that led you to be 18 years old and not reach out to anybody for help, before you had the abortion?
Well, I was one of 4 girls in a single mother family. She was awesome. My mother was incredible, worked 4 jobs. And then I had all these extremely awesome, doting, great aunts. My grandmother had all these sisters that were, so that the message was go out, do something important, And so there was an expectation that the motherhood piece was really the thing you did after you succeeded. And that was a very clear message. And then really, I was the youngest of 4 girls. So my mom, in all of her goodness, really wanted to kind of move on with her life. She was getting remarried, and the idea of me being able to come back home was not going to happen. And they were extremely proud and impressed with me because I ended up getting this job. 5,000 people auditioned, and they picked 5 guys and 5 girls. And it just, I knew that had I brought it up, they would all be like, oh, no, you have to have an abortion. And I, back then, because it was in the 80s, the whole thing with the ultrasounds and certain things that you would know, I didn't know. I literally was, even though I obviously knew about sex, and I did know about birth control, even though we weren't using any. I don't know what the heck I was thinking, but there was so much I didn't know. It was really minimalized, marginalized. It was not a big deal. It's not really a human being. And for some reason back then, I rationalized it. And so, but it was really sort of these women who were so amazing and that wanted me to, go first, lead the charge, and become the most successful person in the family.
So this one blog, or, I guess you could say tweet response to a Planned Parenthood, tweet that went out. And it was one blog on Medium. And then you guys, just to remind you, those of you who don't know Medium, it's actually free to use. You can, you don't give yourself the excuse of, well, I would love to start blogging, but I don't have the money to get a website and register a domain name. It's okay, use medium.com. You'll be fine. So you wrote a version of your story at that time on Medium, and you replied to the tweet, and I'm assuming you dropped the link in to your story, right?
Yes, I actually tweeted it right from the Medium page. Now, here's the thing. I had been a blogger, but I had sort of put down my pen to be so focused on network marketing. And it's a great lesson for people. Don't let go of your full social media identity to become, let's say, a network marketer. Like, the best way that you can build your network marketing company is to be the influencer that you are. So I kind of dropped it, and I hadn't even had a blog at that point, Tiffany. So what I did is I had to use Medium because I didn't have the blog. And so I put a blog together real quick, and then put it on another thing. But yes, I tweeted it out from Medium. Wow. But I used basically their title. So I was, smart enough to, regarding like a little bit of SEO. They said, we need a Disney princess who's had an abortion. So I used all of those words. I was a Disney princess who had an abortion. And then it just went viral. In other words, people shared it. And then from there, they wanted syndicated content. In other words, they'll either take my content and just use it on theirs. And then some asked me to rewrite and become, like a regular contributor, like on the Federalist. So it was the Federalist, and then a couple of other ones where I rewrote the article. And then I had several interviews, one which, several were podcasts like this and other things.
So what happens? Like, there's so many people listening, and me too, right? Like, I've gone semi-viral, as I call it, which, by the way, like, not that much happens. I've never gone like really viral. So we all want to know, like, what happens? Like, do you all of a sudden get like a crap ton of emails? Did it drive tons and tons of traffic to this blog? And it sounds like people wanted to hire you from it. How long does it last? What happens? We want to know.
Yeah. Typically with kind of a media cycle, an article like that will only last like a week or two. This went on for like 2 or 3 months. It was like just when I thought the thing was kind of, okay, dead, like other people would call. But what happens is, yes, they're messaging you, they're tweeting you. I had no press person. I was just, putting some press together and some talking points to people. And yet I was smart enough to have like kind of a little opt-in. So I was able to create this group online, which I call the Pro-Life Princesses, which is on Facebook, and I'm not always walking around, necessarily as a, pro-life advocate. It's just that I was bold enough and the only one to who else could respond to that, Tiffany? I mean, who else?
Well, I'm just laughing. I'm thinking like, as a former journalist, like we would put out stuff like, looking for someone who's into organic farming. Like, we had random stuff, but that's like so specific that it's ridiculous. It's like, and so who else responded?
I didn't even originally want to respond. I was like, do I really have to? But then I was like, well, who else is going to say anything?
Well, you were being called to respond. I mean, it was so specific that there's no other explanation for it.
Okay. Yeah. And as a Midwest girl, did you play softball too?
I did not play softball. No.
So I was telling some of my friends, it was like them throwing like the largest softball very slow for me to hit out of the park. I mean, what else are you going to do? So yes, you get all of these inquiries, and then you're just taking care of the media, and then you're rewriting things. And basically what happened, what blew my mind was that one blog post basically jolted me back into really what my purpose is, which is to really get back to writing about some deep-hearted stuff, and I actually had been working on this course, but very loosely, that I'm about to release, which is called the Cinderella Mindset. Because that's the other thing. I was so prepared for this article because I had been thinking about, okay, who is Cinderella? Like, what did she do? She worked hard. She fought through the fire in order to come to the top. When feminists, and again, I consider myself a feminist, but not a pro-choice feminist, are saying that princesses, like the prince came down and rescued her, which I understand that a lot of people would think that. But the truth is that she had to kick down a door, defy the women in her cabin or her cottage, make sure that she was resourceful enough to use her supernatural favor, climb up a mountain, kick down the door and make a grand entrance, impress the prince, and then come back down. So I had been processing this and writing this loosely, like not every week. And now I'm getting a lot more serious on this and getting it released. But I was prepared to respond and so in my response, which I'll make sure to get to you, I said, princesses would not be doing this. Everybody knows that it's really the witches who are like the ones that are like throwing, the little princesses off the cliff. It's not something that, that we would be doing. So I was prepared. I was really prepared, and, I was ready for it. So it all kind of came together, and I had these great responses. But it was really that I found my purpose again. And I realized that if I could lean into that, into my writing and into the heart, the unique, it's extremely unique to say, well, I like to coach people by having them think about those fairy tales. And the thing is, and I know it's very unique and really kind of different, but all of a sudden, all these women like yourself would be like, oh, listen, I know that Cinderella wouldn't do, they know that. And it made me think, why do they know her so well? It's because we're always looking for mentors, and we're always looking for stories to help us to move through our lives. And for me as a child, Cinderella was that. And a lot of the Disney princesses are. I would literally, my dad was a paranoid schizophrenic. He was, in mental hospitals when I was little. I would go in the basement and start singing these Cinderella songs because it was the only record that my mother had. And I would reprogram my mind to think of impossible things coming true, how beautiful I am, how I'm going to succeed. The amazing thing about children is that they will do that. Like they will figure out a way. And then the future came, and I actually was a Disney princess, but then I was confronted with all of this stuff, my own, experience in the fire, and I had to figure out a way to get out. So it's just a way for me to share that and notice that sometimes we need to disassociate from our own experiences and say, hey, well, what does this story tell us? And then when we look at the story, we're able to find our own breakthrough.
So there's a lot of people who are in network marketing, affiliate marketing, that listen to the show. And one of the most popular questions I get asked is there's a lot of confusion, right? They might love to write like you do, but they also want to have that financial freedom and build that network marketing company. Or maybe they are into doing fitness coaching and they have a network marketing company. It's like, well, how do I grow both at the same time? And is it even possible?
Yeah. Well, I think it's totally possible. And I think, my mistake was really coming in as an influencer, having written very involved. I don't even think we mentioned that. I have 7 kids now. I have 5 that we've adopted and 2 by birth. So I have this amazing family. So I built my network marketing team fast in the area of adoption. I formed a team that I called Adoptogenics. I was an influencer, and an influencer now means that you could I had 3,000 people on Facebook. My friend had 3,000 people. Altogether, probably I've enrolled personally in the past several years, like 300-400 people, maybe more. But we are told a lot in network marketing, and we want to be excellent. So we try to be the best network marketers, and oftentimes we drop the ball on our influence. And the thing that a lot of companies aren't getting now is that we're in the age of branding and influence. So there is this battle, there's this clash that's happening. Companies want to feel like they're being innovative, but they are also still living in a basis of fear a lot in compliance. They're always like, well, you can't say that, and you can't do that, and you can't do that, and you can't sell this, and you can't sell that. But the truth is that if they don't get around the fact that we are in a time where sales will multiply in a major, major way if they unleash the influencers. They have to unleash the influencers. And so I would say to people, lean into your creativity, lean into your area of influence. I wasn't really focusing on the pro-life thing. I was focusing on adoption. And I built this little team in a niche called Adoptogenics because I told people, because the company I'm with is with wellness. We want, this is for healthy and prosperous forever families. Families did not have post-adoption financial support. And these children that were being adopted needed nutrition, and the parents were not taking care of themselves. They were highly stressed. So I cast a vision, but with my expertise at being able to tell the story. And so we sit in those meetings, and there's so much great training that we get. But let's be honest, it's also really confusing. And sometimes you have to put blinders on. And we're taught so much to just consume the information. Then it stops our productivity. We should be creating so much more than we're consuming. And yet we're sitting there. We need to train more. We need to train more. We need to do what they say. We become the opposite of what the messaging that they're telling us. They're telling us we have full freedom, but what about creative freedom? And so I want to tell people to be creative, and I love network marketing and like lean into it, but don't stop your area of influence. That would be suicide.
So what are some tips you can give people to lean back into their creativity? Because I couldn't agree with you more. We're being hit with information overload everywhere, from social media to companies we partner with, emails. We're being inundated with all this information. And I notice myself, if I'm taking too much in and I'm not putting enough out, I get very drained. I can get stuck and demotivated. I know you guys listening can probably relate because I attract a lot of creatives. So what are some ways that people can help balance that, consumption versus creation?
Okay. First thing is, in your mind, get it in your mind that all of the training, they are options. You don't have to do all of them, that you get to decide whether you're going to call 5 people a day, message 10 people on Instagram, 12 people on Facebook, 15 people on here and there. Like, make a decision that you will sit in those conferences and take the best practices that you believe work for you, but also establish what you believe your brand and who your audience really lean into, to your niche. I am telling you, your niche could be crocheting. Seriously, it could be, honestly, gardening. Build a community. Everything is about community these days, everything. And so if you love to, be in charge of your HOA community and you're having meetings, just figure out a way to tie in these conversations and be honest. Say, look, this is what I do on the side. And this may or may not be for you, but I really like to introduce you to either a product line or business opportunity. No biggie if it's not your thing, because you need to genuinely care about people and love people, but don't diminish your voice. Your voice is, if a lot of, I believe the network marketing companies are going to come around, if they really understand that they are not working with a model where people just knock on the doors. I mean, I do believe one-on-one connecting is really important too, but they're not doing that anymore. I mean, it will serve them so much better if they just, allow our expertise. So one thing you could do is, like, I'm really into blogging, but the reason I like blogging now, and I'm building my blog back up, is because you can capture leads and have emails and have your list ready to go. So figure out a way in order to continue to engage with people. And I would pick 1 or 2 platforms. Don't think you need to be the king on all of them.
Now, let's go down the blogging path a little bit. I can't tell you how many people over the years have told me, I want to start a blog. Now it's like, now the new thing is I want to start a podcast. It's like, people think like you miraculously write 3 blog articles and now you're like Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City. It's like, let's calm down, people. It takes a lot. But I'm not a blogger, so I want you to hear, from a popular blogger, like, so you want to start a blog and you're a writer, that's great. But I want you to be able to manage your expectations within that and what it takes. So can you speak a little bit about that?
Well, the number one thing that people need to understand is that they have to be a great student and go to the school of YouTube. Really, if you want to blog and you want to know how to set the tech part up, and you can't afford to have an assistant, like, you're going to have to figure this out yourself. And then if you do have the finances, please hire somebody on Upwork or Fiverr or something to help you get this rolling. But here's the thing. If you really like writing, I'm writing across different platforms. I use the LinkedIn articles feature. I'll use the Facebook notes feature. And that's a form of blogging. You can also get into microblogging. I wouldn't do this on every single post, but have, kind of get a little longer sometimes on your blog, on your actual social media posts. And the interesting things, because I was just mentioning to Tiffany before we started that, she has expertise in technical writing, and I'm kind of just this all over the place creative writer. People nowadays are so trained to have a lot of white space, even if it doesn't make sense to separate paragraphs. They're used to seeing graphics like emojis and that type of thing. And the amazing thing is that you don't have to be an excellent technical writer. I would highly encourage you to spell correctly and don't embarrass yourself too much, but be the best that you can. And you can even start that way with writing. But then the key is, well, then how do I capture the leads? There are different ways. Like, you want to either grow your platform on, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, but you do want to be able to continue conversations with people. So message them. And as far as a regular blog, I'm using now, I used WordPress, then I went to Squarespace, then I went back to WordPress. It's a matter of just what you're really looking for specifically yourself, but there is a technical aspect to it. And that's where we lose a lot of people.
Oh God, that's an understatement of the century. This is where I would be lost. And I'm technically, I'm knowledgeable, meaning I'm knowledgeable, meaning I've had enough things blow up. But like, you have to just hire someone or use human capital, as I say. Like, if you don't have cash, you can do a swap with someone. Like, maybe you're really good at taking pictures and they're really good at technical stuff. You can always, swap, or use child labor. I mean,
yes.
I mean, I'm all about it. I'm down with it. And I don't have kids. I'll use other people's kids.
Yes. And they'll appreciate it.
They will.
Too.
It's like they get really excited about a $20 bill.
Yeah,
so you have 7 kids. I have to get to this before we get off. Okay. You have 7 kids, and I hear all the time, I would love to, like, especially moms, I would love to have a mommy blog. I would love to write a book. I would love to do this, but I have to wait till the kids are grown up. I just don't have time or energy because of the kids. And you have 7 of them. So how in the hell do you have time for all these things?
My kids now are a little bit older because the youngest is 17. I mean, is 13, excuse me. He's 13. I get confused with all the kids. But,
I bet you do.
But early on, what we did is we did a video. Like, we have a YouTube channel called You Parent that it's a pretty well received channel. We have about 25,000 regular subscribers, but we started with video. And use your hot messes. Like, just be honest that the messier you are, the more people, appreciate. I feel like the mistake that anybody makes in anything is feeling like they have to be perfect. I mean, we're all works in progress, and there's an aspect on being able to build your business and build whatever you're doing as a hot mess in process. Like, that's the thing. I feel like people do not understand, whether it's birth or whatever, building a business. It's the process. Before you get the prize, you have to be willing to go through the process. And people are so forgiving now. They're so forgiving. So just do something. Take one step, make a post, and don't let your kids be, excuse not to. Let them be the reason why you should, go to the soccer games. Yeah, go to the soccer games, go places, take pictures of them, and you're going to appreciate also documenting. Like, if you think of it that way, like our old videos, we so appreciate having them because the kids now can look back and see when they're younger. And it's social media, but we're documenting our lives. And we just had a meeting the other day about how we're all really going to lean into being sort of, and I'm probably going to brand this a bit, like a co-working family, where we're all going to be leaning into social media more rather than running from it. Obviously, I'm going to be looking at what they're doing, but we're just going to use it for our benefit.
It has not escaped me, the fairy tale parallel, so to speak, of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. So is there, That has not escaped me. Is there a particular reason why you're at 7?
Well, I don't know. I haven't really thought. I'll lean it in some place at some point regarding Snow White, because I do have a little, another training idea for that. But no, it just happened to be 7, 2 by birth. We had a sibling group from Ethiopia of 3 and then 2 others. So, but that's a really good point.
It did not escape me. I was waiting for the right time. It could be because I'm like on heavy dose of Mucinex, antibiotics, NyQuil, and cough syrup.
Like, whoa,
and
Snow White.
Exactly. I'm like picturing like all your kids, like the cartoon and all the kids. Exactly. Oh my God. I'm so entertained right now. I love it. This is filled with so much great information. And you guys, like, if you loved hearing her story and also being able to hear, like, do it messy, do it anyway. And you can incorporate whatever it is, your network marketing. If you have another passion, you can bring those things together. There's a way to be able to bring it all together. Don't let that be yet another excuse. If you love this, take a screenshot right now, share it on social media, tag me at ProjectME with Tiffany, and then I'll be sure to reshare it and I'll tag Deanna so she can see it on all the things. So where is the best place for people to, number one, now everyone's going to want to read your blog. So where can they go to read your blog?
They can go to Deanna Falchuk. It's, do I need to spell it out?
Yes, you do.
Maiden name Jones. So DEANNA, F as in Frank, ALCHOOK.com. They can also go to LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn messaging and Facebook. And I also, if this is okay, I have a little bit of a giveaway.
Oh, you do? Oh, we love free stuff.
It's just if they tweet the word, or not tweet, if they text 44222, just the word Cinderella, I have some quotes that I've written that are original quotes. Wait a second,
I'm so excited. Wait, can I do this right now? I'm going to do it in real time. Is it ready for me to? Is it ready now or no?
Yeah, and then you can. I'm working on a course called the Cinderella Mindset, which is going to be out, which is going to be really great for helping people to break through really kind of their gunk to find their rank advancement and promotion in life. Because that's really what her story's about.
What are we texting to 44222? What do we have
to write? The word
write?
Cinderella, and then you'll get something back that has like a link. And I mean, I've got these really fun quotes that are just kind of, that talks about Cinderella. I think of her as a badass
Oh
princess.
my God, you guys, seriously, text. I just did it. It came in like a half a second. Text 44222. And then what do I get? Oh my God, this is so fun. Again, it could be the cough syrup. Get your 10 free Cinderella mindset quotes for inspiring success. That is so cool. So like we can, as long as we like tag you, we can share some of these quotes on social media.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is so fun.
One of my favorite quotes that I say is become the boss babe over the mean girls in the smoky cottage.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Oh my God, this is what a great idea. You're so hip to the skip with marketing, and I'm so impressed by that. There. You're pretty hip to the skip. I've never had someone on the show provide a text feature. So there you go, guys. There's another idea. That was instant, and who doesn't love like a good text message? It's like you're like, of course, it always happens. You get a text that comes through and you think you're hoping it's something you're waiting for, a job thing, a guy thing, a girl thing, whatever it is. Yeah. And now it's going to be Cinderella mindset quotes. It's fine.
There you go.
You actually receive what you're supposed to see. So I loved having you on. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and you're great practical guidance, and you were very clear about it. And I really feel like there's so much people can take away. Number one being a lot of their limiting excuses. I can't do both. I have all the children. I don't think I've had anyone on that has had more than 7. So I don't want to hear it, you guys. Okay? Come on.
It's so great, Tiffany. Thanks for having me here.
All right. Bye, hon.
All right. Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.